Hello guys and welcome again to another video. So this is going to be about using biometric feedback data to optimize precise scalping entry, and just a quick wrap up on what's going on here. In previous video I talked about if I was to engage markets right now, I'd definitely put a buy from this level here, and as you can see price is currently pushed a little bit almost close to my stop loss, but I'm not bothered about this. Why? Let's take a look at what's happening here. I want us to zoom out on hourly time frame. I'm not really supposed to be talking about this right now, but I just want to show you guys like what's really going on here so that you'll be able to read price the way I do. Why has this price dropped down here? When you take a look at this is a swing low, this liquidity, meaning that there's some people that put their stop loss right here. This is liquidity right here. So this drop you're seeing here is just liquidity being grabbed. Now, if I push into 5 minutes, this drop, this move right here, some people would now say now we're going lower, this is a break of structure, now we definitely, yeah, that can happen, but the chances of this happening is very low, very low. So if you take a look at what's happening here, apparently we've taken this this liquidity. Now let us go into 1 minute and see how has price reacted. Once we sweep liquidity down there, you see the first attack on liquidity is this candle here. This is the first attack. Forget about these other ones. This is the first attack. Then after that, we have displacement creating a fair value gap to the upside. Boom. This is now what I like to see. Other people are now be like, we're going down. Well, for sure, that can happen. This trading, this probabilities of that happening, it either goes up or down. But I'm like, we just took some swing low right here. These are very important liquidity. And now we've had displacement to the upside on lower time frame like 1 minute. So I'm just waiting. For example, you see now this displacement above here, this is not beautiful, this close here. If this can closes in the next 19 seconds, this one, and creates a gap here, this is beautiful, meaning that now this is now another confirmation. I would even enter again and put now my stop loss down here. But regardless, that was just by the way. I want us to begin this new lecture, and this is also going to be a very important lecture. It's about using biometric feedback data to optimize precise scalping entries. Now, I know a lot of you people are wondering like, how does this, how does biometrics relate to trading? And there's some devices we're going to be using here. For example, something like an eye tracker. We're going to be using something like an eye tracker, and we're going to be using something also like we're going to be using also smartwatches. I know these are easily available smartwatches. So we also have the like the EEG headphones, the HRV monitors, and so on. And these are what you're going to be using apparently. And I'm going to explain why I'm talking about using biometrics feedback data to optimize scalping entry points, right? Now, most of the time, most of the time the neurological reality of scalping always require rapid information processing. In trading, you have to think fast. You have to move fast. If you delay, for example, in scalping, specifically, I'm talking about scalping in this in this scenario. If you're a day trader, if you're maybe a swing trader, then you don't even have to think about it. But think about this. But if you're scalping, because scalping requires highly calculated moves that you enter and you exit in the shortest time possible without making a mistake. Now, in most of the scenarios, or in most cases, you find that a lot of traders find that the heart rate or the heartbeat usually push higher. They start sweating, uh, you know, especially once they're in that position because everything's just crazy. So one simple move or one wrong move, then you make a mistake. So the neurological reality of scalping always requires, a rapid information processing, precision, highly precision in timing, and we also have emotional neutrality, whereby you don't put your emotion like you feel like things are going not the opposite way where you expected them to be, and fast reaction also without panic. That once you see something happening that you wouldn't like to see, you close immediately or you get out of it immediately. In real sense, guys, if I'm being really honest with you people, if I'm really being honest, this thing was not even meant to be for one person doing it. Trading is not meant to be like just one person thing. If you take a look at the successful firms, hedge firms or hedge funds, it's always a team of elite traders, people who are very, very precise, people who are very, like, they know what they're doing. And there's always a guy who is in charge, the manager. So he observes everything. He knows the weaknesses and the strength of each and every trader. He observes the overall, room temperature and give shots. Sell, buy, do this, do that. It is never about one person. But you see, you as one person, you are the risk calculator. You are the. It wasn't really meant for us, like we doing this. This was made, like, it is so hard for one person to do it, but it takes time. That's why it takes a lot of years for somebody to be able, to be successful. It takes a lot of time, because just imagine, think with me for a second. In majority of these hedge farms and majority of these, big farms and financial institutions, these people, there's a person who specifically is responsible for technical analysis. Not one, a couple of them. There's some other group of people who are responsible for fundamental analysis. There are another group of people whose strength are in precise entries and exit. Then all these people, they have to give this collective data to the manager. Now the manager will observe the overall, market, direction and everything. Then he'll give instruction: sell, 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 according to what then according to the information that is being given out, right? But now you see, you're one person, you're the risk manager, you're the risk calculator. You have to also engage in entries. You have to make decisions based on, the way they are happening at first. And you see, majority of these bigger firms, they enter in and out immediately in a matter of minutes or seconds. They don't stay in the markets, by the way. They don't. These big firms, they enter in and out. But you see, for us, you want to hold a trade for a couple of days, you want to hold a trade for a couple of hours. And what they usually do is what you usually see, these big candles like this. One big candle, boom, does a lot of, wonders. Okay, so this thing was not really literally, meant for us in one or the other. And now when you go back to, using biometrics, feedback data to optimize, entries, and especially in scalping. This is about scalping, right? So we have things like smartwatches. And what you're going to be looking here mostly is, for example, how the eye, because most of the time the eye movement usually um, changes whenever a person has panicked or is in panic mode whenever they're trading. We also have issues, things like, skin conductivity, which is usually, just a response to stress. Whenever you're stressed, the skin is going to be, behaving in some type of way, the conductivity. Then also we have the breathing rhythm. The breathing rhythm, that has a relationship to the heart, because you find that sometimes your heart is going to be pumping way harder because of that impulsive uh, reaction from scalping. Imagine you just open a very big lot size. I mean, a very big lot size, right? And you see prices going against you. The heart is starting to, like, pump heavier. So that will affect the breathing rhythm as well as the heart rate, and also the heart rate variability. That is the HRV. Okay. So apart from that, there's also a factor of, brainwave activity and muscle tensions, and these devices, for example, eye tracker, can always, track your eye movement. We have smartwatches which can track, for example, your breathing. They can track your heartbeat. So the objective here is to identify the exact emotional and neurological state that produces your best entries. This is it. This is the hacking. Identifying the exact emotional and neurological state that produces your best entries. So we're going to be asking ourselves a question here. At what time or at under which situations do you perform better? And you see, these trackers are going to help you do that. Because as we've said before, the reality of scalping requires higher focus and uncertainty. Nobody's sure that this trade is going to win. Nobody's sure. But you see, whatever I'm doing here is actually not really scalping. This is day trading. Scalping is something different. And one day I'll show you guys about how to do scalping properly. It's something so powerful. Like, I don't know. I even don't want to share it. It's like maybe I'd say it's the logarithmic, um, price movement or delivery from quadrant to quadrant. It's more of a type of trading and so on, but I'm not really going to go into that right now. So when you're scalping, you need to have fast reactions without panicking, and this will determine, or this will need a situation whereby you have you have a data, like a feedback data on how you react on different type of environment, and how and which specific data or feedback works better for you. So there was a time I talked about, the reactive, survival system, controlled by the amygdala. If you guys check that video, I talked about the, amygdala. So most of the time, amygdala creates, FOMO, that is fear of missing out, revenge trading, impulsive entries, premature exits, because you're afraid it might reverse on you and so on. So we have the executive decision system, which is being controlled by, the prefrontal cortex side of your brain, which most of the time it enables, pattern recognition, patience, timing, precision, and controlled execution. Now biometric tracking will help you determine which system is dominating mostly during entry. This is it. So when talk about the heart rate and scalping precision, one of the strongest correlation in trading psychology is higher emotional intensity usually reduces execution accuracy. Meaning that if you have panicked, and this is like me literally, like what I'm talking about here, this is me how I used to be. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I still do go through this struggle sometimes. The moment I have a high emotional intensity, my accuracy usually go down completely, because I'm in a panic mode. The heartbeat is high. I'm like, I can't afford this lose. So I'm trying everything possible to avoid a loss. And you see, trying anything possible to avoid loss when you have panicked is a direct highway to a loss. So when the heart rate spikes aggressively, you find that tunnel vision increases. You don't see things clearly. Candle interpretation, becomes distorted. So, if, for example, if you used to trade, for example, double bottoms and so on, I don't know, patterns, whatever, it's gonna be distorted. You're not gonna see these things properly. The only time you're gonna see, like, oh, I made a mistake here, is when that damage is already done. Apart from that, even that now you start chasing, liquidity impulsively. Now, liquidity is not supposed to be in chased in real sense. You're supposed to spot the liquidity, wait for a reaction towards that liquidity, a reaction that you'd like to see. Then now use that for your own good. Okay. So once once you're able to master this, the way the elite scalpers, often do, and you find that elite scalpers, they tend to have a stable heart rhythm, they have controlled breathing, they have higher HRV states, and it usually creates faster recognition speed, better reaction timing, lower emotional interference, and these things you can also, improve, or um, at least achieve them through, meditation. Meditation is very, very important. And I often tell traders that if you're a trader, then that you don't do meditation, then I think there's a problem somewhere. I think meditation is very, very important for traders, because we deal with a lot of stress, we deal with a lot of fear, fatigue, over trading stays, and so on. Okay. So you can use these devices like a smartwatch. Just see that moment you're trading, because you see this is just uh, biometrics, right? Take a look at when you're about to enter trade. How does your heart rate behave? For example, we can now start with, maybe a liquidity sweep. When price is approaching a liquidity sweep like this one down here, how does your heartbeat, behave? How does your eye movement behaves? when price is is approaching a technical setup, for example, a fair value gap. Okay, how do you behave? Market structure shift. How do you behave? These biometric states will help you know that, okay, when this happens, I often behave as such. So once you know where your problem is and once you know where your strength is, you can be able to put a balance in between. Okay, so this will help you, with your emotional, scalps and late entries, and just overall impulsive market chasing. So that's it about using biometric feedback data to optimize precise scalping entry points. This is all about emotional and behavioral uh, habits or habitual side of us as traders. So I hope this was really helpful, and I'm looking forward to doing more of this. And let me know if there's something more like you'd like us to talk about and cover and so on. So see you in the next one.